So Trey, same question for you, brother. How did you get started?
Well, in terms of geekdom, like Corey said, dad, of course. Dad, him and I.
Before I forget, who's the oldest? Who's the youngest? Who's the baby?
Don't fucking do it, Corey. God damn it.
People ask us that question all the time.
Son of a bitch. It's because I'm more mature, Corey.
Let's take off our hat for a second, Trey. Let's take off
Don't
the hat.
do that. That's not fair.
No?
You know what that means, Corey? I just have more testosterone than you.
Wow.
It's a thing. Dad was a geek like all of us. He was into Star Trek, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, and
nice.
One of the things that he and I really liked to do, which was watch like on Saturday mornings the 1966 Adam West TV series, the reruns that they would play. And so, I mean, that's probably what started the love. I know it's nothing like most of the comics with Batman, but that translates into watching Batman Forever and even Batman and Robin with the bat nipples. So you kind of from there, you just, how do you not love the character? He's just a badass. And just even at that time for what Batman and Robin was, with that being my first theatrical experience as a kid, it was memorable. And I just remember how fun it was and just how Batman's the coolest. And, at that time I was just a movie buff though. I'd never read any of the comics. It really wasn't until 2014 with Super Bro Corey, where I actually saw Man of Steel, and when it came out in 2013, and was blown away. I've always liked Superman. I mean, he was just cool, right? Like even the Brandon Routh, but Christopher Reeve was Superman at the time. And when I heard this Man of Steel movie was coming out, I had no idea who Zack Snyder was. I just knew that I liked this person's movies. That once I was able to connect the dots.
Oh, okay. All right. So you didn't know Zack Snyder as a whole yet at that time when you saw Man of Steel.
I had no idea. Didn't recognize
but you knew about 300 and Watchmen, but not the director.
The very first movie when we first moved here to Colorado back in 2006, 300 was the first movie I saw here with Corey. He snuck us in because it was R-rated. I think I was like 12 years old, so I couldn't have watched it. And that movie.
Well, you do look older than me, Trey. So
even then, Corey was a little girl. Just kidding.
No, you know what? Hang on, pause, because I didn't get your guys' age. I don't know if you feel comfortable revealing it. I'm just like, how old are you guys?
Corey's 75. Take a year. No, I'm 30.
Okay,
I turned 30 in May. So, Corey, if you want to give your age,
you don't remember, do you? I'm 37. So
you're 37. I knew you're 37. You're 7 years older than me.
You got 1 year on me, bro. I'm 36.
Okay. There you go.
I'm the oldest one here. I'm the oldest one in the bunch.
No way, Phil. Really?
For tonight, anyways.
Okay.
For tonight.
Yeah, Charles.
Oh my gosh.
No way does he look over 50, though. By the way,
no.
50?
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
Yeah, Charles is 52. He's 50. Yeah.
He's bullshitting,
bro. Telling you, they don't crack, bro. They don't crack.
Black don't crack. That's. Believe it when they say that. Believe it.
It's the truth, bro.
Hey, damn. Well, that's some good genes.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. It wasn't. I saw Man of Steel and was like blown away by it. It was like the first time I think, other than like the Batman Dark Knight trilogy, the Man of Steel movie. I walked out of the theater and was like, it was like the first time I came out and was like thinking about a movie, like actually like trying to break it down and analyze it because it was so deep. And because of that moment, I was like, dude, I'm really into this. And I was like, and I think I need to like start walking the walk and talking the talk, because I know all the movies. I've seen every Batman animated film. I watched the Batman animated series and Justice League Unlimited growing up. I really wanted to read a comic. And for my birthday that year, in 2014, Corey did a brand new comic book shop, Hollywood Justice. Got to give a shout out to my guys. John, I love you guys for always hooking me up.
Shout out to you guys.
Corey went to this store and asked him, like, hey, like what's a really great comic to like get someone started on? He loves Batman. Like, what do you got for me? And he's like, I want something special. And he handed him a Dennis O'Neil, Neil Adams, Batman 251, that famous Joker cover with the card and Batman coming out of the card. And
Nice.
that is like a huge, it was like the kind of the reinvention of the Joker at that moment to kind of become the Joker that we all know.
That we know now. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that kicked it off. And like, what a crazy good comic to start off with, because I actually had the opportunity to meet Neil Adams before he passed away at one of the Denver Comic Cons. Yeah. And
nice.
I had him sign it. And he said something to me that like hit so heavy that day, which was, as I handed it to him, he was like, pretty impressed with how good of quality it was in. And he just looked at me. He's like, "Did you even read it?" Like thinking I was just there to get it signed. And I just looked at him straight in the eyes. I was like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Good. That's what it's for, damn it." And then he signed his name on it. I was like, I love this dude, and for that reason, I'll never get that comic CGC, just because I still like to open it very carefully, open it up. But it just kind of opened my world. And I remember just going back to Hall of Justice comics and doing the same thing that Corey did, which was like, "Hey man, like get me into this world, like show me everything that I can like learn, and some of the best Batman comics out there." And the very next series my guy John handed me was The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller.
Nice.
And still to
Oh,
this
rocks.
day,
I'm pulling it out right now because
there you
I
go.
just picked this up this week, guys.
Hold on. Let me highlight you. Hold on. Look at that.
oh yeah, man, beautiful.
Nice.
Beautiful. Absolute Dark Knight. Yes. Oh,
So I've wanted this book for years. I've been waiting to pick this one up, and I finally had the opportunity to. And thank you to Phil. He was the one who gave me the opportunity to pick this up. But yeah.
You're being too modest, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm so happy I got this. Like I literally waited years to get this book. It's been on my list for a long, long time. I'm slowly but surely starting to make my way through it. And yeah.
Isn't it like a cool thing? I've been blessed with Sarah's dad. He's a big comic book collector as well, but he's for the Marvel side. So him and we're always competing with each other. But having someone like him and I, who kind of like, he has this long history of Fantastic Four comics, Spider-Man, X-Men, like his collection's insane.
Just because Socks mentioned it in the chat, so I wanted to pull it up.
Batman Year One, sweet. Yeah, see, his collection's insane. I always love when you read, on social media from the Snyder haters, where they're like, Snyder fans don't read comics, and I just turn around.
Yeah.
Oh, bro. Yeah. Me and Phil have gotten into it with a few people on Twitter over this.
Yeah. It was with Fatal J. Fatal J,
that's right.
Fatal J gave us gave me shit once, was because I didn't like.
He said we weren't comic book fans. He said that exact thing.
Right. He said we weren't comic book fans.
And then both me and Phil bust out the camera and like, we're not comic book fans. We literally showed off our collection. Like, you sure? Yeah. I'm like, Fatal J, you're more than welcome to show off yours. Till this day, he still hasn't.
It's literally my most recent pull.
All right, I've been wanting. Okay, Trey is okay. I'm. A lot of people are telling me read Absolute Batman. I'm being hesitant because I know it's a multiverse story, and I know things just like, for instance, Gotham by Gaslight. It is Bruce Wayne, but it's a different. I just can't get the freaking axe, dude, and the implement. It's just an aesthetic.
Dude, I hear it's a great run.
I've been hearing that too. But again, it's the aesthetic for me that it's just turning me off. That's what it is. Because I know it's a multiverse story. Yeah. I know that's not the real Bruce Wayne that we know and love and grew up with, and is going to be our Bruce Wayne iteration. But it's just the aesthetic of it. That's just the one thing. But story wise, how's it go? Tell me about it, Trey.
I haven't read too much because I just picked it up recently, but from the first issue so far, it's fascinating. I think if anything, what it shows is anytime you get these people who are like, well, this is not comic book accurate, this is shit, and to me, it's like, it's a DC established a long time ago a multiverse. Anything is possible with our characters. Whether you like it or not, there's something for everybody in that, and Is it fascinating that they kind of took away Batman's superpower of his wealth? Yeah, it is kind of intriguing. I do find it funny that he's kind of this hulking brute like Ben Affleck's Batman, and people are going for it. And it's an interesting run so far. I've heard a lot of people say that some are digging it, some are hating it, but the one that everyone seems to be like really digging is the Absolute Wonder Woman. A lot of the I was chatting with some of the comic book guys at Hall of Justice, and they were all raving about it. So
I've heard good things about that one too.
Yeah,
so I just got the All In Here, the crossover. Nice. I haven't started reading it yet. So because my in my comic book shop, Bob, because I asked him the same question, Bob. I love Batman. I love Batman. A lot of the shit I've behind my wall, I've bought it from his store. But I told him the same thing I told you guys. To me, it's an aesthetic thing. It's not the story, because I know the story. It's multiverse stories. It's just the design. It just turns me off.
That's why Trey loves Batman Damned #1 so much. #BatDick.
The one I started reading though was this one, The Full Moon.
The Full Moon.
Oh yeah.
This one I started reading, and I was like because I like a lot of Black Label shit.
Oh yeah, so the whole DC Black Label has been pretty fire. I mean, even the whole Batman Damned that Corey is talking about, where I do have that copy that they quickly stopped printing when it was a big. I just love that it is like the first time Batman's, I guess, dick becomes a thing. And I just think it will be like eventually when I have a nice house and I can display all my nerdisms in my man cave. I just can't wait to have that comic up and everyone be like, well, why do you have that one there? It's like, well, that's the first time you see Batman's dick.
Yeah. First appearance. I can't wait to walk into comic book stores when I'm like 80, 90 years old and like, first appearance of Batman.
That cock. Yeah.
It was so insane. Literally, you bought that comic. I think it came out for like $20 the very next day because they all pulled it. It was immediately worth like $300.
That's insane.
Like, dude, can I?
That is insane.
It's history now.
Eventually, Batdick's going to be 100,000, the most expensive comic book out there.
That's what.
So just make sure when you frame it. Just make sure when you frame it, it's open to that page because you have to see the Batdick on the wall.
Can we CGC it with that open?
And I'll have them note like first time Batdick appearance.
No. What you can do also is you can grab that one, and then on the side you can put Zack Snyder's canon, so you can see. Okay, we got this.
Yo, but speaking of Zack Snyder, I wanted to ask because you're wearing the hat, so that tells me that you're a Batfleck fan. Your logo is based off the Batfleck logo, so I want to know what was your draw to Batfleck's Batman. What made you a fan of that version of the character, and why did that one stand out to you more than, let's say, Michael Keaton or Val Kilmer or George Clooney or any of them?
I'm really interested in this, Trey.
Corey always loves this story because he loves giving me shit for it so much. So I was not a fan at first of Ben Affleck. I was one of those angry people on Twitter when he was announced as Batman.
I was too, Trey. I'm gonna be with you. I was too. And listen, I'm gonna own it because at first I was skeptical, but this is where I learned in time.
No faith. Wow.
But here's the thing. No, but here's the thing. And Trey, you're gonna agree with me. We still weren't accustomed to Zach's eyes because a lot of people were still skeptical of even like of how good casting Zach is, because remember, Zach is not just a director, he's an artist. He went to art school, so he has that extra layer of visual that we don't see, but he does. So once he presents the product, then we'll be like, fuck, damn. Another example, when he did now recently with Rebel Moon with Kai, that hood, dude, that was a fucking Easter egg for Green Arrow.
Yeah.
So again, the man, I've learned now to trust Zach's judgment because over the years I've learned, okay, this guy sees something that we are not seeing because he's already shut our mouths with the end product.
See,
so,
and I was the
I'm with you, Trey. I'm one of those also. So
see,
yeah.
but I was the complete opposite. Like as soon as they announced Affleck, I knew he was going to kill it as Batman. He always had the Bruce Wayne look. Like when I see Ben Affleck, I'm like, that's fucking Bruce Wayne. That is Bruce Wayne, ripped from the animated series, ripped from many, many different runs of the fucking comics. He was like the only thing I worried about, and I realized I always thought that his head would look a little too weird in the cowl. But what they did to kind of fix that is he's the only Batman that had the shorter ears because it suited his face, right?
Yeah.
So
Ben Affleck is 6'4". He's a big dude. So if you add
he would look more like look like freaking Rabbit Man. You know what I mean? Because but I just that was my only thing was like, how are they going to pull off the suit? Because like his facial structure, like I knew right away. I'm like, they can't have the long horns. They got to do something else, right? And then when they showed off that first picture, my whole thing was validated because he had the small horns, the small bat ears. When they showed off that first gray photo of him in front of the Batmobile, like I would. Fucking but no, this is your story, so I want to know your story here.
Oh no, I love hearing all of it because
who sold you on that?
Corey? So, like I said, I was taking it to Twitter. I even tweeted at Ben. If you ever watch,
you one of those Twitter warriors, Trey? No,
well, I didn't tweet much, but when it comes to Batman, that was the first time I really went at it. And I even tweeted Ben. I was like, "Hey, man, you're an okay actor," but I was like, "But I don't think this is for you."
Awkward.
Did you delete that tweet? Did you delete that tweet?
No, if you wanted to find it, it's on the Trey Music Man one. So funny part was, and I think part of my issue was I was kind of looking at like, oh well, this is Daredevil, and I never saw the director's cut of Daredevil. Just
dope movie. The director's cut of Daredevil. I loved it. I loved it.
Still go back to it and think like I was really wrong about that movie until I saw the director's cut.
Yeah, the director's cut. That it's
again, the whole side story with Coolio was fucking well done, man.
Totally, dude. And Corey kept saying, like, dude, like, no, like, give it a chance. I'm like, there's no way Mallrats is going to look good in a bat.
I didn't just say give it a chance, Trey.
You were confident.
I said that he is going to be the best portrayal of a Bruce Wayne and Batman that we have ever seen. I knew it right from the get-go. I had no concerns whatsoever. And what can you say? I'm a scary judge of talent.
Dude. Corey's absolutely right, because it was just, I think what I didn't quite see, and part of me was kind of thinking, if they're trying to develop this world, right, this DC universe that they were making, part of me was like, well, why wouldn't you already have a Batman established that people love? Why not just find a way to do Dark Knight Returns with Christian Bale? And to me, that just seemed obvious. Like that was the obvious thing to do. So that's why I was upset.
I remember back then too, there were a lot of theories about how Batman survived in the Dark Knight trilogy, and there was this one theory that I thought would have connected the movies where it was like Superman saved him at the end, like because like the autopilot thing, and then so that was one theory, and I really thought like that's how they could have connected the movies. But no, I hear what you're saying, because I did have those very similar fears too, because we were in that transition phase where we were so used to what we were getting with the Dark Knight and Christopher Nolan, and now we were transitioning into this brand new DCEU. So you didn't know what to really think at the time. Of course, there was going to be some skepticism.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course, so not being sure about the whole Ben Affleck situation, finally we saw that gray black and white photo with him next to the Batmobile, and I saw the suit and I was like, holy shit, they're doing Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. Immediately at that moment I was like, okay, like I see what's happening here and I'm on board, but I'm gonna wait and see. And when the theatrical cut came out, and I was there day one, right, and I was so like, even without the 30 minutes that are huge in making it from a great film to a masterpiece, I still walked out of that theater and went, holy shit, that is awesome. Like Zack Snyder,
that warehouse scene, no one's gonna top it. That is going down in history as the best fucking Batman action sequence
fight scene. Yeah,
no one's gonna top it.
So like that whole movie, when it comes to like Batman and like who he embodies, I didn't have a problem that Batman was straight up like killing people. This was clearly a broken Batman. And not only that, Batman who we've always seen Batman practically in his prime, right? We've always seen Batman Forever, Batman Returns. It's always a Batman that's in the game doing the scene until Batman Begins, right? But then you still kind of see him in his prime with the Dark Knight. You don't see the old broken down Batman. You kind of get it in Dark Knight.
A little bit. And yeah, but I see that movie, like it's like they wanted to go in the Dark Knight Returns direction, but they were too afraid to completely do it. You know what I mean? So that's how I felt about it.
Christian Bale was only like his Batman was only Batman for 2 years.
A few years, exactly. Yeah. It didn't really make a lot of sense. It's like all this happened right at the start.
It was a grounded Batman. It wasn't the comic Batman. So Zach finally gave us the fantastical fantasy Batman that we all read in the comic
with the Justice League, you know, which is what I wanted. As a huge fan of Justice League Unlimited, I was finally getting it. You know, I was finally seeing Batman hang with the big dogs. Who?
That's another one I got.
Hey, yeah, my man. It was just that movie. That's when I walked down and was like, I need to figure out who did this, because one complaint you always hear that people say about any film is, do we really need to see this again? Do we really need to see Uncle Ben die? Do we really need to see Clark Kent's dad, have the heart attack? Do we really need to see the destruction of Krypton? Do we really need to see Bruce Wayne's parents die? And my response is yes, you do need to see it, because you need to be put back in that place. You need to be put in that place that says, I understand why this character is pissed off. I understand why he's doing what he's doing. It just puts you in that. Yes, it's background knowledge, but for a kid who maybe this is their first experience seeing Batman, you kind of need to be put in that situation where it's like, I understand why someone would have gone this decision. And I remember, and Corey gives me shit about this too. You take it, big fella. You're welcome. I was in the theater, took Corey, because after I saw it opening night with Sarah, who was at the time my girlfriend, I was so blown away that I was like, Corey, you and I are going to see this movie tomorrow again. So it was Corey's first time, my second. I took him in the theater. The opening scene, right? Beautiful Lie starts playing. I'm in tears again, because it is so it's out of the pages of Dark Knight Returns, and it's so brilliantly done, and also poetic with that scene where he's lifted up by the bats out of the the dark
right from the start, at the beginning.
It's such a powerful scene,
Look what Venkata says right here. The Martha moment works only because we saw the death of the Waynes again. That's the only reason why it's there.
Yes.
Well, it serves the story, and I think that's what went over a lot of people's heads the first time the general audience saw that, is they didn't really understand how much that served the story, and they ended up turning, unfortunately, that whole scene into a fucking meme. But if you ask me, that whole Martha scene is one of the most brilliant Batman scenes ever brought to film. Because we've talked about this before. It's a commentary on PTSD. Yeah. And anybody who's actually gone through PTSD recognizes the signs in what was happening with Batman and Superman in that moment. So it's something that, in my opinion, was truly it's the most beautiful scene, I think, in DC cinematic history. People will shit on me for saying that. I don't care. I love that scene, and I will never say a bad thing about that scene.
I will defend that scene till the day I die, because I immediately understood when I saw it. And honestly, I don't know about you guys, but being a lifelong DC fan, it never occurred to me that Batman and Superman had the same.
It did to nobody. We all were caught off guard.
Yeah,
everyone was caught off guard.
It was that moment. I knew what it meant. People made it in such a joke, and I feel like that was pre-planned. I feel like there were people prepared to make that a joke, and I feel honestly, here's the part that makes me laugh. There's no way, and yes, I'm going to get into a little bit of the fight here with Civil War that was coming out right there. There's that big deal. There's all the shit that's going on in the background with it because of DC already jumping ship basically. But you can't tell me that the Martha scene is worse than Iron Man being pissed off at Captain America because
because of Winter Soldier. Because you didn't tell him about
Bucky.
Okay.
Thank you, Bucky. When Bucky killed Iron Man's parents, when he was being mind controlled, and you mean to tell me Iron Man was that dumb that he couldn't just realize that like he had no control over himself? He was being used. But that's what starts the fight between them. I was like,
the comic book's so much better.
Yeah, the comic book is so much better. But here you have Batman, who's literally he's throughout the entire movie, he's killing you. He's more killing in the sense that you're just in his way.
He's in his dark. He's in a dark place.
We've talked about this. He's the Batman that lost his Robin. He spent 20 years in Gotham. You know, he's put criminals behind bars only for them to come back on the streets and do more damage. So there's layers to it. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely, and the fact that like you get this moment where he's going through this whole beautiful script. Chris Terrio nailed it, right? Where he's like, Tom, I bet your parents taught you, you know, that you were here for a reason. You know, he's like, but my parents taught me a different lesson, that you die in the gutter for no reason at all. You know,
the world only makes sense if you force it to.
Force it to, and that's so like that is the essence between Batman and Superman, the hope and the dark. You know, the vengeance, and
I ruined it for you.
Well, Corey laughed at me because I was crying during the beautiful lie scene.